Ellis Cinema back, another dish. How we doing out there? Good, great, grand, and wonderful. Boy, is it hot in my neck of the woods. Oh my goodness, snore. Nobody wants to hear weather talk. Welcome back to another episode of the worst movie podcast on the internet. I shouldn't say that. We've garnered quite a following, but boy, is it ran poorly. But you know, a lot of good stuff around the corner, and don't thank me. You're going to have to thank my ex, because she was the one who created the whole idea of the podcast, of me doing this. So, and then I just kind of ran with it. So thank her, don't thank me. To ease the pain of being dumped by their girlfriends, speaking of exes, comic book nerd Brody, played by Jason Lee, and best friend T.S., played by Jeremy London, take a trip to the local mall. They soon discover that the mall is being used as the venue for a dating show in which Brandy, T.S.'s ex, is the star. You don't want to have that happen. You don't want your chick to break up with you, to leave you, and then the following day she's on a dating show. That's good for no one's heart. To win her back, the pair enlist the help of professional delinquents, Jay and Silent Bob, to hijack the show, while Brody carries out his own mission to mend his relationship with Renee, played by Shannen Doherty, who has caught the eye of his nemesis, Shannen, played by Ben Affleck. With a cast including regular Smith collaborators Joey Lauren Adams and Ben Affleck, Mallrats celebrates its 25th anniversary in this limited edition, boasting a brand new restoration and hours of bonus content. So as you see on your screen, Mallrats, the Arrow video release. Arrow is the best in the biz, babe. I didn't think I could have learned more than I already knew about Mallrats. And somehow, I didn't learn a lot new, but I definitely did learn something new. I think, so when this movie came out in 95, it bombed at the box office. In fact, I think it only made like $400K or something like that. So the studio didn't even get close to their $5 million back. But kind of like when I had Kyle Bruhl from I Know Movies and You Don't. That's a movie podcast that you should listen to. Mine's garbage. You should listen to his, because he is much more poignant and concise in making his points instead of a fucking... I swear to God, man, when I do notes, I never use them. And then when I don't do notes, I'm a fucking lost at sea. So if that should be the indication that you shouldn't do this show. You should do that. Anyway, we were talking on the Tremors podcast that we did. Tremors actually got huge at the home box office, so video rentals and DVDs, so on and so forth. Mallrats, same deal. Tanked at the box office, but once it hit DVD, it just exploded. And actually, I think he wrote it for his age group, and it's not like his friends and other people didn't like it or anything, but I think it's really my generation, or I shouldn't even say generation, but my age group that kind of picked it up and ran with it. I saw this movie when I was 15, 16-ish, and I had to take about a decade, almost 15 years layoff from watching it, which I'll get into in a little bit here. But our generation kind of took, our age group kind of took it and ran with it. And before you know it, there was a 10th anniversary DVD release. And now, many, many years later, there's a 25th anniversary release, which, bittersweet. One, it makes me feel old as fuck. And two, it has aged so well. In fact, like in the overall scheme of things, if we're talking pound for pound, you know, I always discuss movies like I do UFC fighters in terms of, or UFC weight classes. You know, Mallrats was a small little film, and pound for pound, one of the best aging films you could possibly have. In fact, Kevin Smith, writer-director Kevin Smith, and also, of course, Silent Bob, kind of prophetic with Mallrats, even though he didn't intend to be. And what I mean by prophetic is, at the time that Mallrats came out, like, I had a couple friends that I could talk about comics with, but it was always behind closed doors. Like you couldn't launch into how much you love Wolverine, Punisher, whatever, just in the halls of your high school because, during my time, the height of toxic, well, I shouldn't say the height, but definitely more toxic white masculinity over the annals of history, but there's still a lot of toxic masculinity, and you couldn't just, go up to the excuse me, the high school quarterback and be like, oh man, did you read the latest issue of Spider-Man? And even though again, this is why I should do notes, because I was friends with the high school quarterback. I played football, I played baseball, but I was always a nerd, dude. Like I never have fit in. I still don't fit in. I kind of, what did my friend Jacob say? Oh, I'm a cross between I'm the podcasting version of Jack Kerouac and Hunter S. Thompson. And I love him for saying that because he knows how much I love Hunter S. Thompson. But Jesus Christ, I'm not even in the same ballpark in terms of making an impact as those two. But I appreciate you, Jacob, nonetheless. But like, you couldn't just openly I was just weird. Like I couldn't, I'd turn on a fastball high and inside and, the bottom of the ninth, and then I'd go home and read the new Wolverine. Not everybody did that during my time. So it was nice to see this movie when I did, because I was like, oh my God, this world exists, and turns out Kevin Smith wasn't doing anything other than showing you his world, which obviously was 20 years ahead of its time, because now Brody, Jason Lee's character Brody, it was his first film, by the way, and then now he skyrocketed. My Name is Earl, probably one of his most popular. You have Brody's on the internet. When Mallrats came out, there was no there was no internet, and now Brody's run rampant on the internet, in terms of fanboy nerds, what have you. And also in talking about comic book characters, just in kind of free conversation. I don't know if that's the right phrase to use, but like just being able to, let's say, go to a public place and talk with four of your friends about comic books. When we went to the mall, we didn't talk about comic books. We were looking at the chicks, man. Just doing laps in the mall, looking at the chicks, bro. Fuck, what a fucking misspent youth of mine. It's probably why I'm single. I'm still trying to figure shit out. But I am going to be single for the rest of my life because, the woman who got me to start this podcast, her until they put me in the dirt. But Sean, she doesn't even talk to you anymore. She can't stand you. She hates you. Yeah, that's all right. I mean, all I can do is be sorry. And in this particular case, given what I've done, I'm going to be sorry for the rest of my life. And the connection that we have, good or ill, those are some big shoes to fill. So it would be unfair of me to put any other woman in that position. It is what it is. Oh, you need to move on. I have. It's just, I won't have that level of love for anyone else. Much like T.S. T.S. and, what is T.S.'s girlfriend's name again? T.S. and Jesus H. Christ, Brandy. T.S. and Brandy. T.S. just can't let Brandy go. They're different. T.S. is kind of the popular kid, but they're also nerds and they want to get the fuck out. But anyway, so why did I take a 15-year layoff from this film? It's a good question. When I was up to no good during the last years of my high school tenure, one of our friends, ironically enough, I live in the same complex that he did. Shows you what good I've done in my life, and I've been to California and back. Jesus Christ. No wonder fucking she left me. But my friend had moved out of his house when he was still in high school, and obviously, that's still rare. He hated his parents. Man, fuck my parents. So he moved into an apartment, and obviously after school we would go over to his place and be stupid, smoke weed, whatever the fuck. And he had 2 movies. He had 2 movies and a DVD player and a 19-inch TV. 2 movies, Half Baked and Mallrats. And I'm not shitting you, for like almost a year, one of the 2 on every single day, because he didn't have cable. Rabbit Ears only brought in, fucking shit channels, so you couldn't even watch like you couldn't even watch the soaps if you wanted to. But at that time, even now, I still wouldn't watch that shit. But so it was Half Baked and Mallrats on rotation. Now, for me, Half Baked was always a better movie, much to the opposition of my friends. Everybody, they were on the Half Baked camp, and I get it. We were, smoking weed and shit like that, and Half Baked is more of your ideal stoner comedy. And in fact, to that point, I think a lot of people label Mallrats as a stoner comedy, and to a certain degree, I disagree. I think Mallrats is a little too highbrow for a stoner comedy. No, you know what? Highbrow is not the right phrase. I think Mallrats is a little too quick for stoners. Like, it is. That dialogue is snappy. You know what I'm saying? Half Baked is much more of a traditional stoner. When I think of Mallrats, it doesn't even occur to me to put it in the same category as Cheech and Chong, Pineapple Express, Half Baked, whatever the fuck. It just doesn't. Like, it doesn't feel like it belongs in that fucking... I mean, does a stoner movie have Stan Lee in it? I don't think it does. That's another thing, too. Talk about prophetic. Fucking Kevin Smith had Stan Lee in his film before all of a sudden cameos of his became a thing. And now even your mother knows who Stan Lee is. And in fact, a nice little fucking Easter egg. If you look closely, I believe it is in Captain Marvel, but if you look closely, Stan Lee is reading the script for Mallrats in one of the... It's very brief. I don't know if it's a deleted scene. I'm pretty sure it's Captain Marvel, but he's definitely reading the scripts by Kevin Smith, and it says right on there, Mallrats by Kevin Smith. So, at least Marvel's showing Kevin some love, because obviously Kevin is his own beast. He definitely does his own thing, and the studios back him because they know they'll make some money back. But Kevin is an original for sure. Whether you love or hate his movies, even I don't like all of his movies. Well, I shouldn't say don't like all of his movies. I don't think all of them are as great as Mallrats, Dogma, Chasing Amy. But then again, they're all good. I'm fucking weird. I think this is gonna strike up a lot of fucking DM hate, but I think I'm gonna go on record. I'm gonna go on record right now. I'm gonna give you. It's not an exclusive. It's just that I'm gonna give you something for you to complain at me about. Kevin did a film that he would rather ignore teaming with Ben Affleck again, called Jersey Girl. In terms of invoking the emotions they're supposed to invoke, I might put motherfucking Jersey Girl almost on par with Chasing Amy. Oh, here comes the hate. Chasing Amy got a Criterion release. Jersey Girl may actually be discontinued on any form of physical Blu-ray or the like. I don't know, man. I just liked it. I just like Jersey Girl a lot. I'm a weirdo, but I also don't hate on everything like all you motherfuckers do. You guys, I swear to God, you just hate something because it exists, And the older I get, much more lovable I am. I spent many years being the one that's like, you watch that? Ugh. I look back on those times and I'm just like, ridiculous. Speaking of the ex, I used to trash what she used to watch all the time, and now it doesn't make any sense, because like the whole reason this show continues is to enlighten you for movies that you may have never heard, but B, showing how I talk about movies. Very loving, very friendly, not this fucking, oh, I wanted this. And it's not that doesn't happen on this show. It does from time to time. I mean, because, you watch fucking 300 movies a year, not all of them are going to be great. You know what? I've actually kind of slowed up in my. We'll say 150 new movies a year. Most of you motherfuckers don't watch 5 new movies a year. But and what's funny about that is the people that watch 5 movies of the year are the ones that shit on all the movies. Makes no fucking sense to me. They're the same ones that tell me, "Nah, I don't really go to the cinema. Movies are kind of dumb." No, you're dumb. No, I didn't. We're talking about being loving. I'll never be able to compute the whole fucking Twitch era. Look, this to me, because I grew up playing video games, the thought of watching someone else play video games is just, it doesn't compute to me. Live your life. Live your life, Twitch streamers and Twitch watchers. Live your life. It's just like, for me, I want to play the game. I want to play the game. You know, and there's multiple things that kind of go with that. Like, I don't shit on it. It just doesn't compute to me. For instance, I had a friend, what's another example? I had a friend tell me he was watching that new series on Netflix. And before I get into that, y'all got to relax with the fucking Netflix originals. Stop telling me about them, okay? Look, I promise you, I respect you, but I know what's coming out well before you do. I know what's going to work for me many, many months before you tell me about a certain TV show. And I'll tell you right now, those Netflix originals, I get it. You're paying for the streaming service. 90%, 98% of them are trash. Okay? And I don't mean trash. Trash is too harsh. I don't have 12 to 15 hours for a lot of that stuff. Like the Daredevil. Everybody's like, "Oh, you love Marvel. That Daredevil's pretty sweet." Out of fucking 10 episodes, 10 hours, if I'm only entertained for collectively for 45 minutes to an hour out of 10 hours, I don't have time for that. It's not to say that the piece isn't good. I know enough about my likes and dislikes, and I know I push myself outside of my comfort zone, so it's not like, yeah, I'm just going to watch Fox News. Like, it's not shit like that, you know, where I just stay in my own fucking tunnel. It's just, when your spectrum is as vast as mine is, and you have all these fucking avenues for shit to be released, it's an impossibility for me to watch it. Dude, I still haven't, like, the only TV, there's so many TV shows that I want to watch right now, and the only TV show that I'm currently watching is Loki, and the only reason I'm watching Loki is because you motherfuckers are going to ruin it for me. You'll spoil something for me. So, like, I can't, God forbid I could let it build the fuck up and, you know, binge it. But nope, because if I do that, and I also, you know, check social media 3 times a week, it's going to be spoiled for me. Somebody's going to ruin something. But, like, you know, I haven't watched The Boys season 2 yet. I'm telling you right now, in terms of my interest, I will probably like The Boys more than Sweet Tooth. All right, let's get off that fucking some stuff that doesn't compute to me. This dude was telling me, "Oh yeah, I watch Sweet Tooth, but man, it's slow." So I actually put it on 1.5, 2 times speed every now and then. You know, that little fucking option that you have on the Netflix. I to be honest with you, it never made any sense to me. Like, it didn't. It lets you skip the intro. So if you skip the intro, what the fuck do you need a fast forward for, or a 2 times speed, 3 times speed, if you can just, you know, scroll with your cursor where you left off, if you know, don't remember or whatever. And this dude was telling me, he's like, "Oh yeah, man, it's a slow burn." So I just put it on 1.5, 2 times speed. And I was just like, bro, that it doesn't even, I can't even fathom doing such a thing. I can't, like, it just doesn't. What do you mean you're going to, like, watch something you've never seen before at twice the speed? And this is coming from someone who, there needs to be a 25th hour so I can, you know, do more than I do throughout a day. But I'm not going to fast forward through stuff. You kidding me? You know, this is the same people that do that are the same people that Google the ending to a movie because it's making them too anxious. That I just don't understand. Live your life, but, like, that's, like, you people understand that's what it's supposed to do, right? Like, if you're watching a horror film or a suspense or a thriller, you're supposed to get anxious. That's perfectly normal. You know? And, you know, Googling the ending on minute 42 of an hour and 55-minute movie, it literally gives me douche chills thinking about it. Like, I just, never would I even, and it's, obviously it's a lifestyle preference, but I guess the point that I'm trying to drive home is that I think I know how to watch movies, and it wouldn't even occur to me to do some of those things. Wouldn't even occur to me. What does this awesome, and it is awesome, Arrow video release of Mallrats entail? A brand new restoration by Arrow Films of both the theatrical and extended cuts of the film, approved by director Kevin Smith and cinematographer David Klein. To that point, listen to some of the interviews with David Klein. The cinematographer David Klein, he just sounds just as fucking cool as Kevin, man. I mean, I've always wanted to hang out with Kevin ever since, in Evenings with Kevin Smith and the podcast, which is why I think I know as much as I do about Mallrats to a nauseating degree, because, like, anything that him and producer Scott Mosier could have talked about when it came to Mallrats, they have within their podcasts, or Kevin has with an Evenings with Kevin Smith, which are really good if you haven't seen those, which is basically just a Q&A, because the man knows how to talk, and he knows how to talk well, and his views happen to coincide with my own. So, anywho, David Klein's sounds like a gnarly dude. The TV cut of the film featuring hilarious overdubbing to cover up profanity, that's actually somebody at work was like, so what are you watching now? Because I always get asked, because I'm the crazy movie guy, which I really am trying to dispel that whole thing. Like, I do this so that I don't have to talk about what I'm watching and what I'm interested in at work to 15, 20 different people. That's why I do this show. You get it all. Like, yes, I'm talking about Mallrats, but I think I've touched on a couple of other things, and, or even me saying, I haven't even watched The Boys season 2 yet. Maybe somebody out there listening is like, I haven't even watched season 1. Maybe I need to get on that. If he's fucking pissed that he hasn't watched season 2 and he knows his shit, maybe I should get on season 1. That's why we do this podcast. Again, don't thank me, thank the X. I think I'm going to start making that a thing, because my memory hasn't been so good since a traumatic event, actually beyond terrible, enragingly terrible. In fact, I was lashing out for quite some time. And sometimes I still do, but not as bad as I did, just because my brain don't work like it used to after the traumatic event. I'm pretty sure she was the one that was like, you need to do a podcast on movies. And, I know for a fact she was the one that set up the website and told me the how in terms of setting it up. But I think that's how it went down. Or maybe none of that's true, and this was all me. I don't fucking know anymore. I get on and do my thing and talk about awesome shit like this. But the hilarious overdubbing. So people were, what are you watching? What are you watching? I was like, well, I'm watching a movie from 1995. It's called Mallrats, and I'm actually going to watch the the edited for TV dub. And people are like, what the fuck is wrong with you? At least a few people that I came in contact with, what? First of all, what is Mallrats? Which made me feel old, and I was like, what are you talking about? You're like 31. How do you not know about Mallrats? Get the fuck out of here. Well, but nevertheless, that was the case, and I couldn't convey to those people my giddiness of watching the TV edit. Like, it's hilarious. I wish, in retrospect, though, I wish I wouldn't have watched the bonus features first and then the TV edit, because so Jason Mewes, who plays Jay, so we're all aware who Jay and Silent Bob are, right? I fucking hope so. But anyway, Jason Mewes, who plays Jay, when this was coming out, a lot of drugs he was on. I believe he's since sober, but he was on a lot of hard stuff. And they called him to come in and do his voiceover work for the dubbing many, many times, and he never showed up. I'm pretty sure it was because of drugs. In fact, Kevin was just like, this is why you don't get into drugs heavily, kids. It's fucking biblical. And he never showed up, so they just had a random guy do his voice work. And I mean, without saying, they don't sound the same at all. At all. Like, it is two totally different people. But the reason why I say I wish I would have watched the TV edit first and then the bonus features, every time I would laugh at whoever was doing Jay's hilarious overdubbing, it was always met with like a, oh. And I think I'm just at that age where I'm like, oh, that's because Jay's on drugs somewhere. I know, I'm a weirdo. Just enjoy the piece, Sean. I do. Like everybody else is, Ben Affleck's overdubbing, whatever. You know what's funny about the whole TV edit? First of all, God damn it, I'm always doing that first of all. The TV edit's hilarious because they actually aired this on ABC. And for those of you that have seen this, can you imagine? Can you imagine Mallrats being on ABC? And it just shows you how fucked up like studio execs and shit are. So watching the bonus features, if memory serves me right, they did a TV edit for this because they wanted to kind of capitalize on Ben Affleck's success in Armageddon. So they were like, before he saved the world in Armageddon, did you know he was in a little film called fucking Mallrats where he gets fucked in the ass? Literally, not metaphorically, literally. And with good reason, ladies and gentlemen, with good reason. See the film and you'll know what I'm talking about. Guy's an asshole. Speaking of asshole, I had mentioned that, I listened to the podcast and watched in evenings with Kevin Smith. I think there's like 3 or 4 of them. There wasn't a whole lot that I learned new about Mallrats, except one interview in particular. And it's not that I necessarily learned something new. I mean, the way that Ben was talking seems very Hollywoody. But I guess that was kind of like my appeal to Ben and Matt, is that they're Hollywoody without being Hollywoody. Now Matt Damon is, about as Hollywood as it gets. But Ben always struck me as the type that kind of like did his own thing. And I'm never going to hate on Ben. I love Argo. I love The Town. The Town's one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's one of the best heist movies of all time. I even like, Live by Night. I love everything that, and to the best Batman. I know, but I guess I'm fueling the fire for angry DMs today. Ben Affleck's the best Batman, and you want to know why that could very well be true? Because I come from the generation that grew up, like literally I saw the Michael Keaton Batman when you were meant, like in terms of your formidable years. I saw it when you were meant to see Batman. I saw Batman in the theater as this huge, the 1989 Batman, this huge whatever. Ben Affleck's still the best Batman. Anyway, the reason why I say that Ben was a little Hollywoody is the way that he was talking about Mallrats. Very, very shittily. Very, like, kind of... I didn't... I'm going to be honest with you, Ben. You ever hear this? I love you. I'll follow you anywhere. So let's just get that straight. I'll follow you anywhere. But this interview, I would assume, like, Ben had this slick back black hair. I would assume this interview, so the film was made in 95. This interview looked like it took place around 2005, 2006. And he just didn't fucking... He just seemed very disinterested and very kind of like poo-pooing it. And because I feel Ben is different than a lot of your Hollywood norms. Like, I don't like Ben Affleck and Leo are kind of on the same plane as superstar power, right? Or at least close. Ben and Leo are significantly different to me in terms of what they do. Like, Ben writes his own shit, directs his own shit. Leo doesn't do that. So, like, mad respect for Ben. But yeah, you're kind of shitty about Mallrats, man. And Kevin loves you. Why? Why would you do that? I know you guys had a falling out and now you're cool, but Jesus. Fucking, I just wouldn't bash any film unless, like, you were blatantly offensive. Like, you were blatantly homophobic. You were blatantly transphobic. Then I may look back on a film that I had done and be like, yeah, that was piss poor. That was poor showing. But that was one of the many interviews. What's on this disc? There's a dude. You got commentary with so for the disc 1, the theatrical cut, you have an audio commentary with director Kevin Smith, producer Scott Mosier. I love Scott Mosier, archivist Vincent Pereira, and actors Jason Lee, Ben Affleck, and Jason Mewes. Also, a brand new introduction to the film by Kevin Smith. And here's a list of some of the featurettes. My Mallrat Memories, an all-new interview with Kevin Smith. A newly filmed tribute to producer Jim Jacks. Jim Jacks is actually the reason why this film ultimately came to fruition. He produced Raising Arizona, Fast Times in Ridgemont High, so definitely had an eye for a very peculiar, trend-setting sort of comedy. And I thought it was a wonderful tribute to Jim Jacks by Kevin Smith, and Kevin clearly talking with conviction about Jim Jacks and what he meant to the piece. So you got a brand new interview with actor Jason Mewes, who plays Jay, obviously. Brand new interview with cinematographer David Klein, which I mentioned earlier because I was just like, this dude sounds cool as fuck, man, and he sounds fucking loyal. I'm a big fucking ride until they. I got amongst me still trying to rewire my toxic masculinity. I still have Godfather tendencies when it comes to loyalty. Like, you never go against the family. Like, I'm trying to rewire that because, shit, dude, even the people in your family are fucking assholes. And, they're sick people that don't want to get help. Sometimes you gotta cut them off until they get some help. Hollywood of the North. This was a pretty cool and interesting featurette. Hollywood of the North, a newly produced animated... I'll say it again, a newly produced animated making-of documentary featuring the Minnesota crew members who worked on the film, and several hilarious stories within that featurette, whether it be just the mere visual depiction of the two owners of the mall that they rented out in rural Minnesota. It was just a dying mall. In fact, I think they could have bought the mall for $10,000. Can you imagine just buying a whole mall for $10,000? But the two women that owned the mall, the visual tool they used, I guess one of the women's, I think it was like Sharon and Sarah, which just makes it even better. But one of the women was 6 foot tall and the other woman was 5 foot tall. And hearing some of the production assistants just like talking with them, like it just sounded like a rad time to make this movie. Like they were partying for the rap parties. After they would get done shooting every night, they would party in the mall. That just sounds like a fucking bomb-ass time, especially during the time. But, obviously shit like that don't happen anymore because you don't have money to fucking throw around like that anymore and fucking waste time. Deleted scenes with Kevin Smith, Kevin Smith and Vincent Pereira discuss deleted scenes and sequences originally cut from the film. That was an hour and 2 minutes long. Did you watch an hour and 2 minutes of deleted scenes from Mallrats? Yes. Should you have? No, probably not. There's not nothing in there that I was like, oh, damn, that should have been in the film. I mean, there's a couple things that I thought was cool. But you want to know what I didn't do? Is I didn't watch it at 2 times the speed, goddammit. I watched it fucking, and it's nauseatingly slow and, very raw cut of deleted scenes. And I stayed till the fucking credits. And there was some funny shit in there. I shouldn't bash it like that. There was a lot of funny shit in there. Also, the outtakes and behind-the-scenes footage. Outtakes are always funny, right? I think I can count the number of times on one hand that I actually watched outtakes on a DVD that I didn't laugh. Cast interviews from the original set. Erection of an Epic is another featurette. The Making of Mallrats, an archival retrospective with the cast and crew looking at the making and release of the film. A Q&A with Kevin Smith. Of course, Kevin loves the Q&As. An archival Q&A filmed for the 10th anniversary DVD. The Build Me Up Buttercup music video, stills gallery, and theatrical trailer. But that's just Disc 1. Disc 2 has extended and TV cuts. Archival introduction to the extended cut by director Kevin Smith and producer Scott Mosier. Brand new introduction to the TV cut by director Kevin Smith. The soundtrack EPK, raw dailies, still galleries of the comic books featured in the film's opening sequence, and Easter eggs. Fucking Arrow pulling out all the stops for the Mallrats release. Speaking of Arrow, so most of the time you get these, you buy collector's edition stuff, not just specifically from Arrow, but wherever, MVD, you name it. And they will include posters within the cardboard, within the slipcase. Why do you still collect physical media? I don't know, man. It's another thing that I need to rewire in my brain. If for nothing else, because I'm Earth Boy, and what are you going to do with all this fucking plastic and cardboard when I die? What are you going to do? Like, you know, it just goes to a fucking land. I can tell you right now, you're not going to be able to play a Blu-ray disc fucking 30 years from now. At least I would assume that you're not going to be able to. But we've talked a lot about the rewiring of my toxic masculinity, and I don't know. I don't know why I get it, because... But to be fair, though, I do not buy movies like I used to anymore. I only strictly buy collector's edition stuff. If it's something that I don't own, but it's relatively older, I'm buying it on... What did I just buy on fucking Prime the other... Liar Liar. I don't need to have a physical copy of Liar Liar. You don't need to have Liar Liar in general. You could be right. But but when it comes to collector's editions, or when it comes to physical media, I only buy collector's editions. And I fucking tell you what, Arrow, the Mallrats Arrow release, they put in a poster there that I will 100% frame, and I don't do that. I probably got, 200 collector's edition shit, and I can count the number on one hand of shit that I would frame. But what they included in the box set was the blueprint from the movie where Jay and Silent Bob try to stop the dating show. It's great. It's fucking great. And I think it would be so awesome to fucking to frame that. And it's subtle, and people will have to ask what that is. And I like that, because then I get to go, well, you don't know what this blueprint is from. Let me regale you of a time where Mallrats exist. Rats in a mall. Can I tell you about them? I can. No, I can't. Okay. But yeah, I can't fucking wait to frame that shit. That's going to be great. The only thing I was kind of, and they probably don't exist, but I watched, one of the last shows I did was the Blue Underground 3-disc, the Blue Underground release 3-disc set of the Final Countdown, which is a movie from 79, 80, or the like. And what they included on the menu screen is some international posters, international advertisements for the movie. Fucking hilarious, dude. Just like, in fact, like one of the Korean, this is for Final Countdown, one of the Korean posters, like Korean or Thai or the like, it's depicting a different movie than like what you actually see. And the reason why I say that is because I kind of wanted to be, because I had just watched the Final Countdown not too long ago. I'm kind of on this kick of where I want to see TV edits, because Kyle Brule and I talked on Tremors. There was a TV edit in the Arrow bonus features for that, and I just was laughing out loud for the Tremors disc. Same with the TV edit for Mallrats, but I kind of wanted to see international posters for Mallrats just to see how they marketed it, because the reason why Mallrats kind of fell flat on its face is the big reason was it just wasn't marketed properly. Like when you see the original poster art for this, it was done by Drew Stanzen, who's done, I think that's his name, who's done Indiana Jones, just basically like any artwork, big artwork poster that you can think of, Drew's fucking drawn it. Drew's drawn it. But when you look at the original poster art and what they ultimately used for advertising, people were confused. They were like, is this a comic? Is this a magazine? It's a movie? We would have never been able to tell. And that's one of the many reasons that it fell flat on its face. I think the biggest reason is just ahead of its time. Like, it needed to find an audience, and now that's literally Mallrats predicted a world. Now we are very pop culture obsessed. We feel that we need to comment and make our presence known about any given subject, and I digress. So I wanted to see some international posters for this one, but then I was like, you know what? Nobody in Japan's watching Mallrats and thinking it's funny. At least a very small percentage. It's not to say, oh, Japan just doesn't get it. I'm not one of those people. It's just a different humor. Have you ever watched Asian humor? It hits different over here. You know, they're kind of wacky and bizarre. We're wacky and bizarre, but in a different way. You know, respect all cultures. But nevertheless, I assume that's why there wasn't a whole lot of international posters for this. And I don't know why I'm closing out the show ranting about international posters. I just think because the ones in the final countdown release were so hilarious, like I'm fiending for it. I'm a media whore, dude. I have to give me all the information. I want all the information that I can possibly get. To a fault. I'm trying to fucking calm the fuck down because it's getting overwhelmingly nauseating. And I think I was on the I Know Movies and You Don't podcast, and we were discussing the Bubba Hotep film, and we had got into this philosophical debate about images not holding the same value as they used to. And I don't even think it's the work that's coming out. I think between the phone, the computer, whatever, we are just constantly receiving way too many images. So I've been trying to do the best I can while honoring the obligations that I have, while also just kind of just less screen time, because I think that because I had taken a week off and I went back and I watched the TV edit for Mallrats, the Arrow video release, I think that's why I just had such a good time, because it had been a minute since I've watched something. I think I'm going to start doing that more often. I like to tease myself. You know, it's why I don't watch trailers. It's why I get up and walk the fuck out of the theater. For trailers for shit that I know I'm going to see. There's no need to have any of those images resonate with me for the next 3 months until I see the actual film. That's stupid. That's fucking poppycock. That's Boulder Dash. It's just a preference, you know. I went to saw a movie with a young lady the other night, and she was stoked seeing the trailers. Super stoked. And this is what it's like to go out with me to a movie. Her and I had never, it was a dinner and a movie. I don't want to say a date. I don't really know what the fuck. There's no need to talk about that. But this is, I think I definitely have a problem, because like there was a couple trailers that came up in, like, I knew exactly what it was in the first like 2-3 seconds. I'm not even kidding you, folks. Like, I have a problem. Like 2-3 seconds, I'm like, oh, that's fucking G.I. Joe Snake Eyes. Have you ever seen a trailer for it? No, but I can just tell by the colors and the sound that that's probably G.I. Joe. And I was just like, and I put my head down, and she's like, what, is this something you want to see? I'm like, yeah, it's G.I. Joe probably. And she's like, this doesn't look like G.I. Joe. And of course, 2.5 minutes later, she's like, how do you know that? How did you know that was the fucking, that was the movie with audio? And I was just like, I don't know. I have a problem. And then there was a couple other trailers that played, and I was doing my I hum to myself sometimes so I can kind of drown out the audio, because since it was the first time her and I had been out to a movie together, I wasn't going to go full fucking crazy where like I got up and walked by her. I thought about it, especially for the G.I. Joe trailer. Sean, it's G.I. Joe. Who gives a fuck? I don't know. I know I'm going to see it, so why fucking... Anyway, I spared her from that, but I don't know what's worse. Maybe I should have just walked past her and out the theater instead of humming to myself like a fucking crazy person. Like, she's just like, Jesus Christ, what have I gotten myself into? Anyway, it was good to go back and watch Mallrats after a very long layoff. With good reason. Very long layoff. I can recite the goddamn thing to you. So between the amount of times that I've saw it, the amount of hours that I've heard Kevin Smith and Scott Mosier talk about it, Arrow still pulled out the fucking stops and taught me something I didn't know. God damn it, because Arrow Video, they're the tops. They're the tops, mate. Arrow Video release of fucking Mallrats. That was a fun show, wasn't it? No, just me. Mallrats, starring Shannen, Doherty, Jeremy London, Jason Lee, Claire Forlani, Michael Rooker, Ben Affleck, Joey Lauren Adams, Renee Humphrey, Stan Lee. Just a goddamn good movie. Standing the test of time when most stuff don't. Ella Cinema. Mallrats Arrow video release available now. Available now. No excuses. I can never get that. I don't want to see collector's edition stuff streamed. I just don't. Like, I know the Arrow Player is cool and stuff, and they have the bonus features. Same with the Criterion app. They have the bonus features on there. I buy it for the senseless plastic, and I like to hold and look at things. I know. Fucking, I don't want to pay you $15 a month and get to stream it occasionally. Fuck that. Ella Cinema Mallrats Arrow video release. Here we go.